made their Tuesday update calls on Tuesday? John Clock did. Good job. I think one of the things, guys, that had to be like a huge mindset shift for me was treating Tuesday update calls actually as a sales call. So let me give you a little bit of backstory. So obviously my name's Loren LaVassaur. I've been with Summit for 10 years now. I have been through the gamut. So I started as Robin's personal assistant 10 years ago in November, actually, which is kind of crazy, and worked my way up to loan partner 1, loan partner 2, approval specialist, pre-approval specialist. And finally, she decided that I needed to be a loan officer because I'm not very good at gathering and reviewing bank statements. I'm just not good at it. So here I am in sales and have been a top producer since I started, which was in 2020. I distinctly remember when I was Robin's assistant, being there at 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night and looking at Robin and saying, did you do your Tuesday updates? Because as a team, our job was to update the borrower and to update escrow, and her job was to update the agents. And what's funny is that she would update agents that she was chasing or that she wanted to chase, but for the most part, or for agents that were kind of our more, you know, seasoned with our team, they weren't necessarily getting done. So it was up to the team, and we'd sit there all night and try to get all our Tuesday update calls done, knowing that our loan officer was just doing the ones that she picked, right? And so that set the tone for me to make it seem more like a job than actually a sales call or something that was really fun. And so I started really strong, I would say, in 2020, and then the refinance boom happened and they completely fell off the radar. Emails were easier, text messages were easier. Hey, we're still waiting to go into underwriting was really the only update we needed to send. And so they just kind of fell off. I didn't do a single Tuesday update all of 2023. Now, they went out, my processor said still to this day will send out Tuesday updates to the listing agent and to the buyer's agent and to escrow and to the buyer all before noon on my entire pipeline. But I was not calling. And I think a couple of reasons for that were fear of rejection. So 2023 was really, really hard. And the other reason was it still just kind of felt like a job. It felt like a task that I had to get off my list. And like it was going to take a huge piece out of my day. I dreaded doing Tuesday updates. And so I made a shift this year and decided that Tuesday updates were going to be an integral part of my business again, and that I wasn't going to see them as a job, more as an opportunity or a space filler for green time on my calendar. Because how many of us actually struggle to put green time on our calendar? Most of us, right? And even if it's there, we still sit in files in our email and try to avoid by any means necessary making phone calls, going to coffee, loving on that borrower, right? We are so funny as salespeople. We're like, no, I don't want to do that task. I don't want to do that task. I don't want to be encompassed. But then at the same time, we don't get out of our chair and force somebody else to do it. So Tuesday updates for me is an excuse to have green time on my calendar. Make that mind shift right now, right? It is an excuse to have green time on your calendar. So that's a really, really big one for me. That was a shift that I made. I will give you guys tactics around the way that I do Tuesday updates, but I want to give you just a couple other kind of notes on Tuesday updates that I think will be really, really helpful. If you're being asked for an update, you have already lost. If at any point in the transaction you are getting a text message or an email or a call asking for an update on the appraisal or on the prelim or where the file is, you have lost. What's interesting and about Summit right now and overall, we are the best we've ever been when it comes to marketing and the triggers that come from Encompass through Surefire. I mean, clients can get updates every single day of the transaction if you're moving quick enough. Your appraisal's been ordered, you're out, you're in underwriting. Now it's time for processing. Then you get your Tuesday update call. It is crazy how many times this person should be communicated with throughout the process, and a lot of it is automated for us. Okay, so if you're being asked for an update, you've already lost. And at that point, I'm not telling you to give up, but you've got to dig your way out of a hole. The second thing that I want you guys to do is make them yours. So Tuesday updates for us looked and sounded something like this. I apologize that I am being blown up on Teams. Looked something like this. Hey, it's Loren LaVassaur from Summit Funding. Do you have a quick minute? Perfect. I just wanted to let you know that the appraisal's been ordered on 123 Main Street and we are headed into processing. Do you have any questions?
No. No. Those on the side.
Is that person saying no to me?
Girl, I'm so sorry. It was my kids. I'm muting myself.
I was like, no, you don't have questions? Perfect. And I thought that we were role playing at that moment. That was great. Come back. No, I'm just joking. That was funny. So they used to look like that, and there wasn't really much fluff around it, right? The goal at the end was you would ask for an appointment if you liked that person, and that's really all it was. Again, it was a chore. We diminished the power of the Tuesday update by saying, do you have a quick, hear me? We diminished the power of the Tuesday update by saying, do you have a quick minute or just a second? I just want to give you your Tuesday update. Right? So two things here. We want to keep them on the phone as long as possible. And we don't want it to seem like the Tuesday update is meant to just be a note that we passed. This is powerful. These are things that other people aren't doing. Now, what I will say is in Lane County, it seems like every lender has started doing them. It's a story for another day, but right now, we're one of the only ones that are doing it consistently. Justin St. Clair does them over video, which I find to be really powerful. I think Dave Kammerer does the same thing. I prefer phone. As long as you're consistent, that's great. But I really, really want to avoid the words just, quick, that just take a second of your time. All of those things are going to diminish the power of the Tuesday update. And then again, make them your own. And I'll tell you how I made them my own so you can kind of adopt that if you feel like, if you feel like it's something that you would also make your own. So the last thing that I'll say is that do not leave the Tuesday update on a voicemail ever. Please do not leave the Tuesday update on a voicemail. I want you to get them on the phone. So my voicemail sounds something like this. Hey, it's Loren LaVassaur at Summit Funding. I am calling on 123 Main Street. Give me a call back when you can. Or I don't even give the address. They probably know which address they have in escrow with me, but there's no indication on if I have good news, if I have bad news, if I'm calling to let them know the deal's terminating, or if I am getting ready to close early. So they want to call me back. Right? Ideally, I'm getting these done all before noon, and I try really, really hard. But then again, Tuesdays, I try to book coffee appointments as well. But most often they're done before noon. And that's because people are calling me back quickly because they think that there's something wrong, right? That there's a sense of urgency there when I don't leave anything on the voicemail. So when I go to make my first Tuesday update, guys, and I have this in a check sheet, so I can send this all to you. Before I make my first Tuesday update, or right when I receive the contract, kind of depends on when I receive a contract in the week. Like if I'm getting them on a Monday, then most of this will happen on Tuesday. But my assistant brings me this form that I'll send out to all of you with the property address, the buyer's agent, and the listing agent is all listed. And I jump on social media. We're all guilty of sitting at our computers on social media with Encompass open, with the Outlook open. So we've got time for this. And I add them on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. If they have TikTok. Some of them are there, but not all of them. So I add them on social media. That's the first thing I do. My first update really to them is going to be, I like to say I like to establish my dominance in this. I believe, and I think every person in the transaction from agents to escrow believes that they're the nucleus of a transaction. I actually believe that we're the ones that keep everyone together. We're the ones that keep everyone updated. We're the ones that really drive this train, because without us, no transactions being done. So I like to establish dominance quickly. I ask some very important questions of them that allows them to know that I am all in on this. I am going to be totally up to speed throughout the transaction. So one of the things I ask is, one, how they like to be communicated with, right? Some agents prefer text message, and if that's the way they want to be communicated with, I'll go ahead and I'll bend to that. This is not science. There's a lot of heart in this. Okay. So I ask how they like to be communicated with. I asked them if there have been any changes to the purchase agreement that I should be aware of since I've received the contract. specifically pertaining to the close date. I ask them if there are any apprehensions. Go ahead. I don't know if someone's not muted again. I typically will ask if there is any apprehension to me ordering the appraisal. So that's something else that I like to ask. Whether that be inspection wise or negotiating repairs, or sometimes the listing agent will say, oh yeah, we're doing this one thing just before the appraisal is ordered, so it doesn't come up on appraisal, right? I also like to ask both parties in that same line there. I don't know, most of you aren't in Oregon, so I don't know if you have this ordinance, but if there are CO2 detectors where there need to be CO2 detectors, and then double straps on the hot water heater. So what I'm doing here is I'm establishing my professionalism, right? I'm establishing the fact that I know what I'm doing. It's interesting. I looked up some stats on MMI this morning on other lenders in our area, and the amount of business that those lenders are doing, we would have considered them our biggest competition recently. And no matter where you're at in your originating journey in terms of units or production, I think that this is a great way to make sure that you are the professional in this. I don't care if you've touched 20 files this year, 5 files this year, or 100 files this year. If you don't know the listing agent or the buyer's agent on the other side, you have to let them know that you know what you're doing, and these questions will help you do that. Okay, so the last thing that I say before I get off the phone, and this sometimes catches people off guard, which I kind of find entertaining, is I will say, in closing, here's your actual update. So I am meeting with the clients tomorrow, Wednesday at noon. We will be locking their loan. We will be ordering the appraisal or paying for the appraisal, depending on where we're at. And we will also be moving the file into processing. Great, Loren. Thank you so much for the update. Looking forward to working with you. Perfect. I am looking forward to the opportunity to audition for you. Have a good day. Click. Maybe not that quickly, but I always say I'm looking forward to the opportunity to audition for you, okay? Because that's what we're doing, especially with new agents. We're auditioning every single time. Guys, there's so much gold in having the opportunity to make these calls on a Tuesday that we just don't take advantage of. The amount of agents that I have let go of as a result of either not calling or not having powerful Tuesday updates is absolutely disgusting. So make a commitment, change your mindset today. Today's the day you start with a new Tuesday update process, okay? So the next thing that I do after I hang up the phone with them is I go back to social media. This is the fun part. And I start liking or hearting or commenting a few of their most recent posts. Right? Hopefully they've posted that they've got something in escrow, and I'll comment on that. Or I'll like a picture of their dog or a picture of their kids. Like I go through and I kind of just engage with them on social media. That's what I do when I hang up the phone with them. If they're not on social, send them a quick email or a card and just say, hey, thank you so much. I'm excited to work with you. You're going to hear from us. Anything afterwards is going to just be an extra layer. Okay. So weeks 2 through 4 is when I kind of get a little bit more mushy. Those are the weeks that I try to get to know them a little bit better. So how is your day going? I asked them, have there been any interesting or exciting real estate transactions that you're currently involved in? Are there any local events? And this is a little bit broad. Are there any local events that you're interested in right now? I saw that there's a concert in the park or something like that. Are you interested in going to something like that? There's a whole bunch of questions that I like to ask. I saw that your kids just started school. These are the ones that I start to kind of get down to maybe starting a relationship, depending on how receptive they are. The question that I get asked most often when I'm teaching about Tuesday updates is, well, what if they don't answer the phone, right? Or what if they want to do text message? That's totally fine. Okay. There's still ways to get past that surface level. But my answer to that most often is they may just not be my agent. And that's okay. If they're really short and curt on the phone and have absolutely no desire to talk to me, that's okay. I'm still going to call. I'm still going to text. They're still going to get an email from my team. And I'm still going to make sure that they are happy at the end of this and that they have nothing but good things to say about Summit Funding. Right? I just worked a deal in California. It was my first ever California deal. And the buyer's agent she did not love me. She did not want to be warm and fuzzy with me. She did not want to engage with me at all. I really, and quite frankly, I'm never going to be able to take her to coffee. So I kind of just did my thing and went about my day and wasn't really upset about it. And at the end of the transaction, I got a 5-star survey. And the 5-star survey says, any buyer's agent or buyer is lucky to work with Loren LaVassaur. Thank you so much for the communication. All that is not me boasting, guys. That literally all that came from was doing Tuesday updates, right? I likely will never see a referral from her. I'm in Oregon, she's in California. She's a listing agent, just happened to be helping buyers because they were family. But she was happy with my service, and that really is a goal in this, as well as booking the appointment. Right? So the other question that I like to ask, another question that you can add to your list is there anything that I can do for you to make this process smoother for you and your clients? So that's a big one, and that's one that doesn't get asked very often, and it's one that I don't feel like people really know how to answer. But that's also where one of the best relationships can be formed, because ideally you're going to get down to some pain. So most specifically with listing agents or the listing agent on your transaction, what I find is that they'll say, well, there's nothing that really that you can do, but we are struggling with this or X, or I am struggling, right, with this side of something. And then you can help them solve that problem. So more often than not, the listing agent is this is where you really find the gold. Is there anything I can do to make this process easier for you and your clients? Okay. All the while you're still asking, or you're still engaging on social media. You're still liking everything that they do. You're still sending the Tuesday update via email. Like you are on them, like white on rice. The funding call. So you may not have a last Tuesday update, right? You could, or it could be your last Tuesday update, but you might fund on a Monday, or you might, which is so awkward when you fund on a Monday, but there could be just not a need for a last Tuesday update. And one of the things that I've learned to do in this is I do not call the buyer when the loan funds. I call the buyer's agent so that they can tell the buyer that the loan funds. And this came from a really grouchy buyer's agent here in town. Her name's BLD. I'll never forget it. She called me and she goes, I have feedback. I said, okay. She said, you're great. I love Michael, my processor. Do not ever again call my buyers when the loan funds. And she was so direct about it. That information should come from the buyer's agent. We haven't even recorded yet. We still have 4 hours to go until this thing's done. Don't ever do it again. Okay, BLD, I won't ever do it again. Okay, bye. And she hung up on me. Haven't worked with her since. And that's okay, right? BLD and I are still friends. She still hugs me when I see her out in town. And if I have a transaction with her, everything goes great. But so when a loan funds, I call the buyer's agent and let them know. Go ahead and make this call to your buyer. Okay. When it records, I then call the listing agent. Now, usually title is sending emails and everybody's really aware, but that's when I call the listing agent, and that's when I will ask for my appointment. Hey, we've been doing this for 3 weeks now. I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit. I hope you've gotten to know me a little bit. Is there any way that I can take you to coffee? I'm very genuine about it, and I don't ask the people that I don't want to go to coffee with. So that's kind of a rundown on what I do for Tuesday updates. If you feel like you don't have a lot of people to call, that's okay. I want you to call the buyer's agent, the listing agent. I want you to call escrow. I want you to call the title rep at escrow, see how things are going for them. I want you to call mom, dad, the buyer, anybody that was at the inspection. I want you calling every single person that is involved in this transaction, which is another great question to ask. We should also do that on week 1 with the buyer's agent. Hey, have there been any family members that I should keep updated on this? There are so many people that we could call within one transaction, but we limit it to just the agents, right? We didn't call buyers for a while. We left it to the processor, and now I call on my buyers. Not when the loan funds. BLD told me never to do that again. So I'll send this, oh, sissy, I cannot mute. I will send my list out to everybody. I know Rebecca said typically we go about 20 minutes with me rambling. I know I threw a lot at you. It was a little bit less eloquent than it was in Dallas, so I apologize. But what questions can I answer for you guys, or brainstorms, role play, anything like that? What do you guys got? You can just unmute at this point.
Question, instead of coffee, well, out of 10, how many will actually accept for coffee?
That's an interesting question.
And the reason why I ask,
Yeah, go ahead.
the
Keep
reason
going.
I ask is, well, I do like the, two-step
Excuse me.
close, I'll do it at the office,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
bring clients or agents.
First year there. You? Right on. Where are you guys from?
Hang tight, Rudy. I have somebody that's not muted, and then you got muted. Will you unmute yourself, Rudy, one more time?
Yes.
Okay, how many people are accepting my coffee invitation? Go on a little bit.
Yeah, and so I tend to do the two-step close at my office with the realtors that I meet. So coffee versus just inviting them to the office for a meeting. Since you do a lot of the Tuesday updates and ask that question at the end, I want to pick your brain as to what would work best.
I asked them to coffee. So I'm more of a I'm a buddy seller, not a technical seller. Okay, so the two-step close doesn't come for me, Rudy, until like probably after the first coffee appointment. So my preferred coffee place is right up the road, and it is dead quiet. Like it is literally no one is in there. I prefer to go there, and that one is more of a get to know you session. If they're wanting to be 100% technical, then I'll talk about it. I've already done my research. I know who they're sending business to, if they're doing any business, right? I know maybe what they're struggling with if they're not doing any business. So I might two-step close them at that point. But my first one is typically going to be more buddy selling, more friendship based, more personal. And then the one after that is where I would go into a two-step close. Like if I know they're referring to other lenders, then that's the one that I would say, hey, is there something that in your business that isn't working right? Or is there something that your lender isn't doing that you wish they would do? Listen. For those of you that don't know what the two-step close is, listen, take notes, listen, why, how, that's interesting. Tell me more about that. I've got a couple ideas. I really want to kind of just focus on this though. Is there any way that I can come to your office or come to your place of work or meet back here next week for a quick 20-minute download? Right? And then you come with all of your material. But my first one is mostly personal. And I mean, if I had 10 agents that I'm working, I would say get probably 2 buyer's agent meetings and then probably 1 listing agent, I would say, if I had 10 transactions. Now, that doesn't seem like a whole lot, but if you think about there being five days in a week, right? My calendar next week, I have 2 agent meetings every single day. I have a pipeline sitting here of quite a few people, and I'm booking the week after. So I'm slow and steady. Our job as loan officers is to chase agents always chase agents, right? So I'm okay with that conversion rate. I think it's just fine.
Got it, thanks.
That was long-winded. Thank you for asking the question. What else?
Another question, if they never call you, like they didn't call, that was a Tuesday, they didn't call you on the initial, they didn't call you back on the initial call. You did the Tuesday update the following week, which they didn't answer, so you just left that generic voice message. Do you then do your Tuesday updates via text or email, or you continue to try to call back until they call you back, or what's the deal?
They're getting a technical update from my team via email. We have underwriting approval, our appraisal is in. We're gathering conditions, our appraisal is in, right? Like they get that technical update from my team Tuesdays and Fridays, actually. So, I mean, the point of the Tuesday update call isn't even to really give the update. They're already getting the information. So I'm not heartbroken if they don't answer. They're just not my agent. Okay, 2, they've already gotten their update. So it's an important step, even if you don't have a team. I do believe most processors are trained right now on Tuesday to, and if they're not, get with Eugene Ops, right? Like our processors know that on Tuesdays they're sending emails. We have templates for every single one. They just update the part that has the update in it for the particular stage. They're vague, they're ambiguous, but they are telling us where we're at in the process. And if they don't answer, yeah, I call every Tuesday, and if they don't answer, they're not my agent, and that's fine. But you might still get a survey. Let's see. There's a lot of names I don't recognize on here, and I love it. I do recognize, though, Mr. Kevin Jefferson. Recognize Bart. Hi, Jessica. All right, I'm gonna ask you questions. I'm gonna call everybody out. Sissy, if you're on, how are your Tuesday updates going, friend? Nope, we might have lost her. Amy, I can see you, unless you just turned your camera off so you wouldn't. Oh, I see you. Okay, there you are. Amy, how are you?
Good.
How are your Tuesday updates? How do you feel like they go?
I feel like they go well. I am able to get coffee appointments. Not always, but it makes me feel better. My production is not nowhere near yours. So it makes me feel a little bit better that I'm not pulling so many through. My question was also going to be like Rudy, because I've had some agents where they just don't answer. And it's like, okay, well, in my mind, I think, well, then you're not for me. But I also am like, is that not the right mentality to have? I don't know. So
How many agents are in your area?
we have 400 and let me rephrase this. We have 1,400 agents in our area. Now, 458 of those agents are actually active agents
Sure.
that participate in our area. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, and I would argue like we're slightly higher than that, but it's funny. Like I don't ever come across agents that don't appreciate. So see, that's all right. That don't appreciate the Tuesday update, even if they don't answer. You're building rapport, even if they don't answer, and even if you get one appointment a week, that's 52 appointments a year. That's not bad. Even if you get one every other week, right? That's still okay. I'm not super like that part. I don't know. Well, now Rudy's going to make me track my conversion. I have no, like that's kind of what I would say based on my calendar. That's about what I get. Yes, you are implementing Tuesday updates. It's so bad that we didn't, or that, and I take like, for me, I feel terrible that all of 2023, I just put it on my team and didn't make a single phone call. Like that's selfish.
How to go back? So obviously today's September 12th. How to go back to last month's closing and call that listing agent because I failed to call them. But it's like the call reluctance of calling 2 to 3 weeks later and saying something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting in my head, but I feel like I should call them.
Absolutely, you should call them. And you know what? You say that. You say, hey, listing agent, you popped into my head. And you popped into my head for a couple of reasons. One, my team said that you were absolutely a delight to work with. 2, I felt like this listing was beautiful. And that's, compliment, but also spinning into how'd you get the listing, right? All the questions that we normally ask. And I have to tell you, I'm going to be completely honest. I'm embarrassed that I didn't call you. One of the things that I'm committed to in my business is communicating at the highest level during a transaction, and I did not call you. Is it possible for me to take you to coffee real quick, both as an apology and because there was missed opportunity for you and I to get to know each other? 2 professionals that will be in the industry for quite some time. Do you have any time this week? That sound like a fair thing?
Yeah, it does.
Do it. And then text us afterwards and tell us how it went.
Okay.
One agent not want me to include any of the buyer's info on the updates to the listing agent. Only 1 in 14 years requested that. Yeah, I mean, we just include in ours. So So the header says Tuesday updates with the property address and then the buyer's agent or the buyer's name, typically just the last name. And then it's very ambiguous. It has a banner that says Team LaVassaur Tuesday update. Hey, just wanted you to know appraisals on order, whatever the case may be. Have a great day. And if what you're saying, Sissy, is that they didn't want you to send an update to the listing agent, like that's fine. That's why one of the questions you ask is what's your preferred method of communication? I mean, that could be one, I'd like to be the one to update the listing agent. I don't want them knowing anything about where we're at in the process. Seems odd. So why you've only done it once in 14 years or why that was only once in 14 years. But again, we've been making funded calls as soon as a loan funds for as long as I've been with Robin LaVassaur. 10 years. And well, this happened in 2022, so long time, right? And BLD, man, she kicked me in the teeth and hasn't used me since. So, I mean, it'll happen. You're not everybody's cup of tea, neither am I.
I got a question.
Hit me, Bart.
Hey, do you, you're sending all these out in the email, after you call them, right? You said that? And then-
Actually, my processor typically gets the update part done first before I'm done with my calls. It probably should be the opposite, but if I'm being honest, it also lets me know where files are. So knowing that, that I could just pull it up real quick and go, okay, everything's fine, or we're on track, or there's no problems. But go ahead with your question.
Does I assume your processor, whomever's sending the email, has some kind of templated verbiage?
Yes.
And is that then, does it change? I mean, obviously the update changes, like you're not going to say the appraisal is being ordered tomorrow on every Tuesday, but do you change anything else about it? Like things to expect as we're approaching closing, or things to expect when you're when you get your appraisal back, or reminders to not apply for other credit, or anything like that? Do you,
Yeah, so my processor has an intro email. All processors in Eugene have an intro email that say all of those things. It doesn't address the appraisal. But I'll get to that. But it says things like don't open credit. You're going to hear from us every Tuesday and Friday. I'm trying to think of the other things that it says. I've seen this email so many times, but I just look past it now. So when he calls to introduce himself, and then he immediately sends this introduction email that says, hey, just left you a voicemail, or thank you for picking up with me. I'm Michael Chase. I'm going to be your processor. Here are all the things to remember through our transaction. Okay. They then, and these are in addition to, like, even if they got an update on Monday night at 7 p.m. about something, they're still getting a Tuesday update. Like there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, so there's also an initial CD, call, and email. Even if they got a Tuesday update that same day, this one will be separate just to the buyers. Hey, your initial CD is coming out. Here's the numbers as I see them. If anything doesn't look right, please give me a call. So yes, we have email templates, Bart, for any and every process in any and every step in the process that there is.
Okay. Do you do any Tuesday updates after the closing, i.e. like now that you're closed, this is what to expect from a servicing standpoint, or
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. So that's probably the next thing that I'll start implementing is 30-day calls, because I'm currently not doing 30-day calls. And at that point, we usually get the email in my Team LaVassaur email box that says, hey, servicing's been transferred. My loan partner does have an email template that he sends when we get those emails. So I don't know if you guys have noticed those emails that we get from servicing, or it's from Encompass Servicing, excuse me, that says, just wanted to make you aware that your client's servicing has been shipped to Freedom Mortgage or wherever it's going. He then is prompted to send a template. Hey, we talked about this in our pre-closing phone call that your loan would likely be sold. That day has come. Here's the information. Please call Loren or myself with any questions or concerns.
what about?
But I'm not currently calling them the Tuesday after closing. That's actually a really great idea to say, how's moving going? How's, did anything come up afterwards? Like, do you have any questions? Yeah, I'm not doing that right now.
Your processor's Tuesday update template,
Yeah.
is it the one from Django? Is it the generic one from Django, or is it an actual email? that
It's an
that
actual,
guys
it's
have
an email.
created?
It's an email.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an email that they all send. And again, they send to both agents and escrow, and then they send to the buyer by themselves. So there's 2 updates that go out via email every Tuesday. I can show you, let's see, where is. I'm so bad at Zoom. I don't know why we're on Zoom. I will send Rebecca one of my Tuesday updates. I'll also send you guys my check sheet for Tuesday updates as well.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
What else? Nothing? I'm not offended, I promise. Like, I just gave you guys a whole bunch of information.
Do you ever reference anything from social media? Like when you make
Do I-
those calls? Because
Do I ever what?
do you ever reference anything from social media? Like since you've already
Yeah.
stalked them and you know a little bit about them through social media, does it ever get weird? Like, do they ever feel weird?
No, because they have to accept a friend request or they get the notification that I followed them, right? So no. So a lot of them this month were, how was your kiddo's first day of school? I've got kids. It's not weird. You know, that's not weird for me. If I see they got a puppy recently, I send them a puppy gift. If I see they had a closing recently, I talk about how beautiful that home was. I don't think it's weird. Social media is meant, like, people want to be acknowledged on social media, right? Like they want you, they want the likes, they want the followers. Like they're not posting. So if they're posting something crazy that they don't want acknowledged, like then I'm not calling them. So no, it's not weird. We do Zoom now. Okay. Yeah. Rebecca was like, here's why we do Zoom. Don't be mad. Is it Lenore? Is that how you say it? And tell me how you say your last name.
Tavares.
I think that we're talking, or that you and I are together next Wednesday, right?
We are.
Yay! Are
Yeah.
you doing Tuesday updates? Because if you're not, I'm gonna hound you.
I am. I absolutely am. And all right, not to beat a dead horse, I had a listing agent who would not pick up the call, not the initial call, not every Tuesday call, like nothing. And I didn't leave a voicemail because I picked that up at the sales retreat that we had.
Uh-huh.
How many times will you call on a Tuesday before you finally like give up because he's just not my agent? Like he's not.
I mean, it's pretty obvious after you send the email that says we're funded and recorded and you get no response.
No, I
or,
mean
you know,
during
like,
the process, like week one.
oh, they get a call every Tuesday, even if they're not answering.
Just one call on that particular Tuesday.
Yeah.
I was calling like, all right, I'll call it 9, I'll call it 10, I'll call it 2. And
No.
Bugger wouldn't pick up. He was
You
sick
did
of
that to me, I'd block you eventually. I'd say, don't call me anymore.
it. Yeah.
No, just once. And if they don't call me back, that's okay. They still got their update, right? Now, if we think that we've got contact information wrong, like I can't tell you how many years Robin would hound me about putting an agent's office line in Compass, so that was what was on the pipeline report, because it would just drive her bananas because they're never at their office right now. So you got to make sure you're leaving the right thing there. You could text and you could say, hey, is phone call your preferred method of communication? Want to make sure you and your clients are staying updated, right? Like, and see if you can get them that way. But no, I'm only calling once or trying, if my notes say on my form that they didn't pick up last week, I'll try again and then shoot them a text or something like that.
Okay.
I think it's important though, like not everybody's our agent, guys, and that's okay. Like it used to hurt my feelings. It also used to hurt my feelings when agents would leave me. We've got a couple new loan officers in the office that are, and I have agents that I've worked with in years past that are now sending referrals over there. That's not their fault, right? That's my fault. I didn't do a good enough job in that relationship. So what do? I go pick up another one. I start a new relationship with this one. I start engaging with this one, right? It's okay. And eventually you'll have that list and that list will be 40 long and you'll go, gosh, I can't send this many birthday gifts in a year. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Anything else?
I have a quick question. Are you not leaving voicemails if they don't answer?
I'm not leaving updates in the voicemail. Is that Jessica?
Yeah, it's just.
I recognized your voice. I just say, hey, it's Lauren calling on 123 Main Street. Give me a call back when you can.
Okay. Okay.
Because they're still getting the email, right? And if you guys if you don't have a processor who's doing that email for you, then it probably means that there aren't quite enough loans in your pipeline to have that kind of support, and therefore you should just be doing it also, right? So either way, the technical update is being sent or communicated to these agents. But no, I don't leave the Tuesday update ever in the voicemail. And there's no incentive to call me back.